Are you ready for the next installment of the internet's cringiest job postings? Well, stick around because this next batch doesn't disappoint. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to bring you yet another installment of the internet's cringiest job postings. So if you're not familiar with this series, basically what I do is take a lighthearted look at some pretty awful job postings that have been published and shared by people on the internet. Now keep in mind, I don't take these very seriously. We just have a lighthearted laugh, maybe poke fun at these companies a little bit for some of the most obnoxious job postings that you'll see. But there is oftentimes some learning opportunities in here as well. So just keep it in mind as we go through. Let's not send any vicious emails off to the people who are posting these things. And if you haven't seen any of the other videos in the series, you can check out the playlist that I made that lists them all out. So it could be a little bit of fun, get some popcorn and enjoy. All right, so the first one is a funny one regarding timing on interviews. And I think that we've all probably experienced frustration with how long interview processes take. Multiple steps, you kind of got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops, and then you wait and wait and wait, and the job never seems to get filled. But this one takes it to an entirely new level. They are requiring you to have your application completed by January 22nd. So we can assume that they've probably been collecting resumes and applications before this, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Let's just say January 1, they probably started this recruitment process. And you have to fill out all of this information, the application screening. They'll look and review everything. They say that they'll give a response to the status of your application, which is appreciated. But then you have to go through a value alignment interview with the interim backend head. And then you do, of course, a take-home test, and then a role-specific interview, and then a cultural contribution interview, which I'm assuming is like a behavior-based interview. And then here's the doozy. We estimate that we will complete this process, the whole process, by the end of November. So it literally takes them almost an entire year to fill a single position. I mean, I've been in some interview processes that took a long time to complete, and I've been probably a recruiter on some where it was painfully long to get the job filled, but never anywhere near this long to get a position filled, to get candidates through the process and to get somebody started. November, so January, again, I'm going to assume January 1 all the way to November. That's at least 11 months in process to get a role filled. You know, recruiters are measured by time to fill metrics, and that's essentially a measurement of how efficient the recruiter is at finding the right talent to get them into the organization. And that metric is usually measured by the time that the job is open, so the time the requisition is open, till the time that there's an accepted and executed offer. In other words, we find a candidate, they accept the offer, the clock then stops. And in most organizations that I've been a part of, the average time to fill is 45 days. And in fact, if you go beyond 45 days, then it's usually considered to be a negative. Now, this will vary from industry to industry and how hard the job is to fill. But in general, 45 days, maybe 60 days time to fill is the average. And here we're looking at nearly a year. So what this indicates to me is that there's probably not a recruiter working on this job because obviously these people don't care about filling positions in any kind of efficient manner. And there's obviously not a recruiter out there who's going to keep their job if their time to fill is this long. Next up, we have an interesting one here. This is an expression of interest in a consultant consultancy. I don't know what that is. You're consulting a consultancy, but anyway, it's based in London. It is a hybrid remote position. So like I said, all checks out. But what this is, like the reason why this one's interesting to me is that it says, please note that this is an expression of interest application. We are not actively hiring, but will screen all applications periodically. So basically what they're saying is this is a ghost requisition. In other words, this is a fake job posting. So if you're ever looking for how to identify a fake job posting, they're at least making it easy. So a lot of companies won't even put that. They'll just run an ad and you'll apply to it, and they have no intention of hiring anybody. But some companies will actually post that they have these essentially it's a ghost rec. They're collecting applications so that in the future, if they decide that they're going to hire for this role, that ideally they'd already have a whole pile of candidates and they could move through their time to fill much more quickly. But basically all this does is just waste everybody's time who applies for these jobs, because the chances of you actually getting a phone call for a legitimate job is almost 0%. So if you see these job applications that say that they're not actively hiring, don't waste your time filling them out. Have a little bit of self-respect for your time and just pass these ones by, because they're a complete sham. And this is what gives hiring a bad name. This is This is one of the reasons why job numbers, at least in the United States, are inflated. The job market is full of these types of job postings. Next up, we have, this is an outreach. This isn't necessarily a job posting, but this is an outreach by a recruiter. It looks like this is probably on Indeed. And it says, "Hi, Dustin. We found your resume on Indeed and noticed your extensive experience as a senior graphic designer and creative services manager." So it's very clear the type of work that this person does. It says, they say, "If you're interested in a route driver position at such and such company, please feel free to apply." I mean, this is literally the laziest recruiting that I've ever seen. You have a non-CDL route driver. So this is like driving a truck, maybe delivering like product or like chips or like restocking shelves at a grocery store. And even in some cases, they require a CDL. But nonetheless, this person is not at all a fit for the role, nor are they likely to be a fit at all. And this recruiter is just shotgunning out resume. It's like basically like spamming. It's the reverse of somebody who sprays and prays. There's also the same equivalent with recruiters who spray and pray as well. I mean, come on now. A senior graphic designer and creative services manager is not going to be interested in your crappy route driver position. Now, this next one isn't a job posting per se, but it's a company communicating to their existing employees about an exciting new feature with their timekeeping. It's like exciting new feature of clocking in and out. Like who gets excited about clocking in and out and timekeeping? But it gets a little bit better. So they're announcing this geo validation. So the messaging here is what cracks me up, because it's like this overly enthusiastic thing that they're trying to present. Like they're presenting it in this really enthusiastic way, and it's something that seems downright awful and Orwellian. It's saying, "We are thrilled to announce an important enhancement to our clocking in and clocking out process for part-time and hourly employees. Effective immediately, we'll be going to geo validation for all clocking in and out activities. This new feature is in line with our ongoing commitment to ensuring the safety and security of our team." Like, okay, like I'm not really sure how clocking in and out, it's safety and security. I guess if like somebody's in the building without being clocked in and out, they wouldn't know who's in there. And you probably should have a security station anyway that they have to like swipe a badge or something to get past security to get in, if that's a concern. But I'm not sure how clocking in and out, the actual timekeeping system, is necessarily going to keep bad actors out of there. So, but I guess that's a thing. It says, "As part of your employment agreement, all employees who clock in and out have agreed to this feature." So basically, like they're saying, like, well, you already have agreed to this already. I mean, the reality is that these companies can do whatever they want, and you have to, it's like, especially if an at-will employer, you have to do it. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep a job there. But it says geo validation allows us to accurately track the location of our employees, whether they're on campus, off campus, or at client sites. And the question I have is, where does this surveillance end? It says this system is ensuring that we will provide timely assistance and support and enhancing your safety and security. Again, like that's a little bit of a question mark for me. Like, how is this enhancing your safety and security by tracking every minute of where you are? There is no action required on your part. Simply continue to clock into Paycor. Rest assured that when you do, you have an entire team of support behind you ready to assist in case of any need. But it's like, it's this exciting new feature of, we're going to be spying on everything you do and everywhere you go. We're really thrilled about it. Yeah, you guys are thrilled about it. But for the average employee, I don't see how this is at all something to be excited about. Next up, we have food scientist, and it says prioritized must-have skills for the food scientist. The funny one here is that you need to have no more than 3 jobs in the last 10 years, which even as far as like a job hopping resume or non-job hopping resume, like that's like 3 jobs in 10 years is fairly reasonable. It's like averaging 3.3 years per role, and that's probably beyond the average, especially since, if you go back to 2020, I mean, pretty much everybody has at least a couple of jobs since then. And what's interesting, I'd be really curious to know, does this company have any history of layoffs, especially in the last 3 to 4 years? Because let's face it, just about every single person anymore has been laid off at least once, some cases twice. I've even had some people who've gotten laid off 3 times in 1 year and through no fault of their own. So the fact that this company actually has the nerve to try to screen people out 3 jobs in the last 10 years is just completely tone deaf and just frankly is not realistic at all. Next up, we have a personal assistant. This looks like this is probably based in the UK based on the fact that it pays £20,000 per year, which is probably roughly 25,000 US dollars per year. And this is apprenticeship, and it's what to expect: a high pressure environment during work hours. That sounds fabulous. And, any issues you can't handle, go straight to Vishal Sharma. I'm assuming this is the hiring manager or the personal, maybe like the CEO of this. I'm assuming it's a very small company, but nonetheless, this person directly. And so it says the benefits are benefiting your local community. I don't know what this company does, but I would love to know what they actually do and how it actually benefits the local community. And then it says you get to go to staff parties. Probably have to put them together yourself as well. And then here's the best one: chill at boss's place when it's done, and subsidized entry tickets to all new shops, event centers, and anything else opened up by this particular company or tech initiatives funded by. You get to chill at the boss's place. Instead of going home and spending time with your family and doing things that's actually for you, you get to chill at the boss's place and you get some subsidized ticket entries. I guess that part's okay, but so salary can be adjusted based on your current lifestyle. Like, what is that? I mean, so if you have like you need to drive Ferraris or whatever, you can adjust that up. Who knows? But it sounds like at least they're maybe flexible on the 20,000, which seems to be extremely low. And it's interesting that they call it an apprenticeship, a personal assistant and an apprenticeship. I would love to know what the actual job. This is the only page that I have on this, but I would love to know what the actual job is. And it says holidays. You can let the CE know in advance, and we can talk it out. So, and this is probably one of those cases where you get what you pay for, and you can probably determine just by this one page alone what this company and what this hiring manager is like. All right, so next up we have this awful application process where it's asking a bunch of stupid and arbitrary questions where I think that they think that they're being cute and clever and trying to get people to answer, I don't know, it's like logic questions, and then they're clearly trying to discriminate based on I'm assuming a political preference. And this is an indicator of a few things. First thing that I'm going to guess with a high degree of certainty is that this is a very small company and it's probably a startup or some variation thereof. And oftentimes a founder or a senior level leadership or hiring manager who doesn't have any experience hiring people has created this application. So they've thrown together, this looks like this might be like a greenhouse application, and they have thrown together these questions that are downright discriminatory. In this case, this is potentially, I'm assuming this is the United States, but this is potentially even an illegal question because they could be discriminating based on national origin based on how you answer this. So that's like a real shade of gray, and it's forcing you into taking this position. And here's the deal. This is obviously a trap question because we don't know what side of the aisle the employer sits on this particular issue. And if you answer incorrectly, then you're obviously going to be in the no pile. But this is just an indicator to me of an incredibly toxic corporate culture, and one that likely doesn't have a talent acquisition department to begin with. Because as much as we like to beat up on recruiters and talent acquisition as a department as a whole, the fact of the matter is that talent acquisition is in charge of this type of stuff, and they would never let these kind of questions go out as part of an application process. This is 100% a founder or a hiring manager who put together this application and did not have talent acquisition or recruitment guiding them. So as much as you want to be up on recruiters, most of the time you're not going to see these types of questions in an application process. And of course, I'm sure we've all had experiences like this as job seekers where you put in an address and it's infuriating that you can't get the straight answer. And it's like, if they can't even program their ATS system correctly, like what else is going to be messed up? And the funny thing is that they will use this same type of stuff against you, the job seeker, but when they put in applications and it's completely messed up like this, of course, there's no repercussion there. There's no indicator of, give me an example of a time when you did something that didn't quite work out as expected, or you made a mistake. It's like, you should ask them the same question back, like, what about your job application? And then we have Tax Goddess with their 11-step hiring process. And I don't know anything about Tax Goddess. I've never looked up the website. I can't speak to the validity of the company and if it's a decent quality employer, but I'm going to assume that it's a relatively small employer and they have a freaking ridiculous, a goddess awful interview process or hiring process. So first step is job application. Then they do a screening, finalizing the candidate by informing them. Then there is a written test. I'm assuming it's a tax-based test, maybe. Then a general interview. Then so that would maybe be, I'm assuming a recruit. So by the time you even talk to a recruiter, you've had to have gone through a written test and the job application and some sort of application screening. Now, I'm assuming that the screening is done by the recruiter and nothing that the candidate actually has to do. So by the time you get to step 4, that's the recruiter screen, then the technical screen, so a technical interview, and then interview with CEO. So that's, it's all kind of standard. I would say that's not too out of the ordinary. The written test, I guess if you're a taxation person, you should know some basic taxation stuff. But then it goes to police verification and background check. So I guess if you're dealing with taxes, that makes sense as well. And then you have a final interview, which is like what's beyond the CEO, like a final interview. And then you have to go through in-house training, departmental training, and then a final test. So at what point in time does the offer come? Is it step 12? Is the job offer come? So you have to go through this entire convoluted process, multiple tests, training. Maybe the offer comes at final interview, and then this 9, 10, and 11 are like, is it like a probationary period or something? I'm not sure, but this just seems like the most ridiculous process for probably a very low level, very low paying position. No offense to Tax Goddess if that's not the case. So this next one is a job posting. I don't know who it's for, what the job type is, but it says, as a dynamic and growing company, we have no shortage of ideas, but our greatest weakness is execution. They don't know how to, why would they admit that they have no ability to execute on their ideas? So if you must have a proven track record to execute on time and on plan and on budget. So basically what this is telling me is that they need you to execute every idea that they have. This one sole position is responsible for the company actually creating and getting any products to market. It's like, why would they admit that? They have the greatest weakness is execution. Like if I said that in an interview myself, like they asked me like what my greatest weakness is, and I said I've got a lot of ideas, but I'm terrible at executing them. There's no way anybody's going to hire me. So it's just the double standard there is very interesting. It says that apply now and embark on an exciting journey, blah, 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 blah. But then it says that this is kind of the funny, kind of like a little add-on funny thing. It's like please create an introduction, and they're very specific, a 1080p video under 3 minutes. If you send it at 720, it's not going to be considered. You didn't follow the instructions, but under 3 minutes, and explain why you would be a good fit. Upload it to the cloud or to YouTube and send the link with your resume too. So not only do you have to make, you apply for this position, and then you have to go in. I guess they want to see how well you execute a video and see if you can upload it to the cloud or to YouTube. But yeah, this one's a doozy. And finally, we have a doozy of, is anybody interested in making the world a better place? And in this job posting, if you read through this job, the description, the responsibilities, it's very clear this is a heavy-duty job. Define and execute the analysis strategy and road mapping for these projects and initiatives. Basically, you're leading this technology team, and this is including hiring, training, mentoring, and more importantly, performance management. So this is like ongoing performance management in this role. Research, identify the latest data sources and data analysis approaches, and basically you're creating and developing testing of applications and all this kind of stuff. So maybe again, this is like a heavy job that is very clearly not entry level. It is an advanced position. So then it says the education and training, a bachelor's degree or master's equivalent, they're saying is required. So your master's degree in computer science, information technology. They want fluent in English, and then aptitude in Arabic, Chinese, French, Russian, or Spanish. It's considered to be desirable. So they want somebody that's fluent in English, but also has the ability to speak a second language. At least 5 years of experience working in data analysis, data science, data modeling, nimble business mind with a focus on creative solutions, strong project reporting skills, and the ability to work with teams and work independently. And so this is what you get from it. This is the kicker here. The benefits that you'll get from volunteering with BCI. Now, I don't know what BCI does. It looks like it's something to do with climate change on some level, but it says the benefits that you'll get from volunteering with BCI are enormous and include some. You will learn, hone and learn new skills in research, presentation, writing, and etiquette. Your mind will be mentally stimulated, hence providing you with a sense of purpose. Your mind will be stimulated, giving you purpose, because that's what we need to create purpose, not a paycheck or anything like that. It's being mentally stimulated. And you'll advance and boost your professional career by helping you make professional connections and giving you real world experience at the intersection between climate and emerging technologies. And it will help you develop long-lasting professional relationships with others who can make the world a better place to forge a close connection. But the thing here is that this position is a voluntary unpaid role. Its title is the Principal Technology Officer, PTO, of Internet of Things and Data Analysis. So this is a volunteer role that is requiring all of this. This is a chief, basically a principal like a chief technology officer is reporting to the CTO. I wonder if the CTO is volunteer as well. This one, it's like, okay, I don't care how dedicated you are to the mission of an organization. The fact that they are not paying this position, you have to have some self-respect here. And the fact is that no matter how altruistic the organization is, who has time to volunteer like this and dedicate the time and energy managing a team of people, mind you, hiring them, but you're volunteer and you're managing somebody's performance. Imagine doing a volunteer job and then getting a performance appraisal and them sitting down and telling you that you're not quite cutting it and that they're going to have to let you go. Could you imagine that? So again, this is a volunteer role at senior leadership level where you're in charge of building a team, developing them, and then managing their performance, all while delivering strategic roadmaps requiring all these years of experience. But the payout is you're making the world a better place. So there you have it. There's some of the internet's most cringeworthy job postings. Again, this is meant to be lighthearted. I'm not truly poking fun at these companies, but I think we need to be able to give each other a good laugh, because the world of hiring can be pretty screwy and we need a little bit of lightheartedness in our lives. Anyway, let me know which one was your favorite in the comments. And like always, appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.